All right, we are live. Welcome, everybody, back to the Live with Sondra show. And today we're going to be talking about scale, how you take a bold idea, operationalize it, and turn it into a multi unit, franchise ready business without losing the magic. My guest today has done exactly that, building one of the most unique concepts in the family entertainment space and scaling it fast. If you're thinking about growth, franchising, or multi unit strategy, this episode is for you. Let's roll the intro. All right, welcome back to Live with Sondra. I'm your host, Sondra Shannon, and today we're diving into a topic that I absolutely love: how visionary concepts build scalable, profitable action parks. Because innovation is exciting, and execution, standardization, and culture are what turn ideas into empires. But before we jump in, I want to thank our sponsor, Gatemaster Technology, the all in one ticketing point of sale and guest e commerce platform trusted by attractions for more than 30 years. Gatemaster helps operators scale with confidence by giving them systems, data, and controls needed to grow smart, whether it's one location or many. And if you're serious about scaling, you'll want to know that Gatemaster is hosting its GT Summit happening March 11th and 12th here in Denver, Colorado. It's curated operator level event where leaders talk real strategy, growth, technology, profitability, and you can learn more about the GT Summit, gatemaster.info/GT Summit 26. And yes, you will want to put this on your calendar. Now, let's talk about today's guest. Bron Launsby is the CEO and co-founder of Slick City Action Park, the world's first indoor slide park without water. If that alone doesn't grab your attention, here's more. Bron has successfully owned and operated over 20 family entertainment locations, including well-known brands like Sky Zone and Amp Up. He's a true expert in innovation, franchising, and strategy with a sharp ability to spot emerging leisure trends before they go mainstream. And at the heart of it all, Bron is deeply committed to family time and team culture, which I think says a lot about how and why his business works. So, without further ado, Bron, welcome to the Live with Sondra show. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I just have to ask before we jump in and get into slide systems and scaling. You've said that your family time is non-negotiable for you. So how I'm curious, how does that influence the way you design experience or culture inside of Slick City?
It's a great question. I mean, we've been really intentional on creating an all ages attraction mix, and so that was super important to me because when I had younger kids, I would go, I would attend, but I couldn't experience, everything with them. And so what we've done with Slick City is, our slides are ageless, timeless, and all of our attractions are ageless, timeless, and good for literally all ages.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that is I love the idea of multi-generational attractions where everybody can be together. And I think that's a really, really, really cool part of what you guys are doing. So today we're going to be talking about the CEO's Guide to Multi-Action Park Strategy. And Bron, in this is a conversation that so many operators need right now, especially those sitting in great concepts, wondering how to responsibly scale it. And I'm hoping we can just dive into the conversation. But first, would you mind telling those of us who maybe, I mean, I know what Slick City is, but I want to make sure those listening who maybe aren't familiar with your action park, who are you guys? What are you doing? Tell us about Slick City.
Yeah, well, Slick City is an interactive indoor playground for all ages, from the toddlers to the elementary age kids, middle school, college, etc., young professionals, parents, and even some grandparents. Our main attractions are our proprietary dry slides, our sports courts, and our aerial attractions. We also have a toddler area, and we find it's the perfect place for families, groups, even corporate events. And I think what makes us different from a lot of other family entertainment centers today is it really does appeal to all ages. 24% of our paying guests are 18 and above. And then we have a highly differentiated product mix. We're vertically integrated in that we manufacture all of our slides and furniture and flooring and everything. So it's almost a park in a box for our franchisors. And we really built our towers, which is what you come off our slides, to be very modular for future innovation. Because we just realized that is the key to success today, is being able to pivot quickly and to provide new attractions, over time. And also, we're very much a franchisee first, franchisor, in that I was the largest franchisee of another system. And so we've really tried to create a culture that really supports our franchisees as they operate their locations.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'm curious, because of all that you've done both as a franchisee and now a franchisor, what do you see being one of the biggest operational challenges when turning this idea into a profitable and repeatable business? And also I'm curious, and I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Was this something that you knew you were going to do when you first set out to do this, or is it something that
Yeah,
challenge
it's a great
from the beginning?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I was still operating trampoline parks when I came in contact with Gary Schmidt, who was or is the founder of our sister company called Slick Slide, who manufactures these dry slides. And so he's the one that came up with the technology that we're able to have indoor slides that are smaller without water that perform like a water slide. And so it was his brainchild that did that. I just happened to be the first person to buy one of his slides and put it into my trampoline park. And so after that was done, he was looking for an investment, and I saw an opportunity, and so I invested with him in the manufacturing side to develop more slides with the eventual goal to do a Slick City, which would be a brand new entertainment concept. And so I didn't know that all in the beginning, but it came together pretty quick as Gary and I put our heads together.
Wow. What do you think the biggest challenge in putting all that together is?
Yeah. Well, early on, it was ensuring the proprietary frictionless technology delivered consistent, exhilarating speeds every day while keeping maintenance low. And it required a lot of research and development, testing to refine our slide surfaces, our ride mats, the design of the slides. And then this was compounded by staffing for high volume, fast pace, and marketing to a broader demographics than what a lot of family entertainment centers have to do. But we did overcome it through vertically integrated manufacturing from our affiliate company called Slick Slide, which helped us reduce the cost, but also combined with our 12 systems operational plan playbook. And the result was high average unit volume of it's reported in our FDD of 4.9 million and just a little bit over 40% EBITDA for 2024, which was outstanding, in our space.
Wow. Well, and I think I saw something, correct me, was it like, is there also like some NASA technology involved here? I mean, it might not be NASA. I saw something along those lines.
Yeah, well, that was before my time. So when Gary was creating this technology, some of his research, including talking to a scientist who worked on the NASA station, which was all about how to reduce that friction, and so through lots of conversations with lots of people and lots of research and development, Gary was able to do something that nobody else has done before.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I saw that and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. I've not heard that story but yet. So as I was researching for the show, um, and it makes sense that you would want to involve somebody with that expertise, especially without the water, right? I love this idea. I love water slides, but I also don't like being wet. You know what I mean? Like it's just I'm too old for that, I think. I don't know. I'll do it with my kids, but I like the thrill more than I like the water, if that makes sense.
Yes, and typically there are longer lines and a lot of walking to get to the top.
Right.
Whereas, again, our slide towers still are tall, but they're not nearly as tall as what you have to do at a at a water park.
Yeah, I that's the part I think I don't like. I don't like being wet standing in line and waiting. Sometimes you get cold. I mean, it's just I like this concept very much, which kind of brings me to my next question because you've talked about this being multi-generational and parents wanting to participate with their kids. I know you have one of your first locations or your flagship location here in Denver, Colorado is actually maybe just 10 minutes from us. And my sister is a huge fan. She is there often with her son, and she's always telling me about how much fun they have on the slides. But, what specific design or technology choices did you guys make to support that multi-generational play?
Yeah, well, I think it first came to everyone has been on a slide before, whether it's a water slide or whether it's a playground slide. And what we did is provide the thrill of a water slide on dry surface, indoor with less tall slides. Our goal is the ageless, timeless attractions with a lot of thrill, where their skill is not required. So we've been told before, and we really don't use this as a marketing tool per se, but it's all thrill, no skill type of a attraction, and we think this helps make it popular for all ages. We're also very much in an experiential economy today where people prefer spending time and money on experiences with their friends and their family instead of buying another pair of shoes or collecting stuff. So you combine this unique all ages attraction mix with an innovative team in an environment where people value experiences versus stuff, and you have a perfect growth environment for Slick City.
Yeah, I also saw something online that you offer adult nights, which I thought was really cool. I was just at the water park day at IAPA, and they were having a discussion about how more attractions need to be having these adult nights because, we have those dinks. Have you ever heard that saying?
Yes.
The dinks.
Well, yeah, very much, very much, and I mean they could have kids too,
Yeah,
but
sure.
but yeah, it's one of those things that whenever we open up a location, which we now have 26 open, when we come to market, we get a lot of social media influencers, and we advertise pretty heavily on social media, and we always get comments. This is great. This is awesome. Looks fun. Oh my gosh, that looks scary. Those type comments. But one of the most popular trend that we hear is, can adults do this? I don't want to bring my kids. This looks like too much fun type scenario. And so after opening up the first location, we decided to try an adult only night, and it's been quite popular. In fact, there a lot of times our first adult night is sold out or close to sold out, which just tells you how much excitement this is bringing to others, and just how maybe underserved the adult market is for active entertainment.
Wow, that's great. I love it. I love that concept of having the adult nights, but also I do love the multi-generational side. As a mom of 3, although my kids are getting bigger, I just like that there are attractions like yours where even big kids don't feel too cool for the attraction. I have a hard time convincing my kids to go with me some places because I'll be transparent on the show. So I we had a Legoland uh, season passes for years when they were little, and they're just got to be to an age where they're like Legoland's too young for us. They were too cool for Legoland, which made me sad because I loved it and I have great memories there. But you know what I mean? I think it's really cool that you've built something that even my teenagers will still feel cool going to.
Yeah, well, it's part of it was by design, and part of it just kind of came together. And we have a similar story in that my wife and I have 6 kids, and we have a pretty large extended family. And every year we do Thanksgiving at a Slick City park, and so it could be 40 people, and it could be from the toddlers to the grandparents. And a couple of years ago, we celebrated my father-in-law's 80th birthday, and he and quite a few others that were similar age of him, went down the slides. And so it is one of those things that the toddlers love, the core demographics, that's 6 to 13, absolutely love it. But it's one of those that the middle school, high school, college, young adults very much will participate, and the parents today love to do activities with their kids. And every once in a while, you get a grandparent that has enough courage to climb to the top and ride as well.
All right, well, you just gave me a good idea. My father-in-law's in his 80s, and he's the youngest 80-year-old I know. So I'm gonna take him. I'm gonna take him.
Please do.
One here in Denver, put him on a slide. I'm excited for that.
We did have a 72-year-old grandmother have her birthday at that Denver location recently, and we got videos of her coming off the slide. But again, she's a very, very young soul. But just seeing her grandkids at the end of that slide, just enjoying every minute of it was pretty cool to see.
Well, I love that. And he's probably listening right now. Gil, did you hear that when you have your birthday party?
Yeah.
You got a birthday party coming up. Well, he likes it when I give him a shout out on the show. But I know you've scaled to more than 20 locations, which congratulations for that. In just 2 years' time, coming up on 2 years, you said. And that is just like an incredible accomplishment. And I'm curious if a single location owner is thinking about franchising or scaling, what is one thing that they must fully standardize before they can even consider that step?
Yeah, I have a couple points on that topic because I don't think that there's one that hits it all. But I mean, clearly, if they're a single unit operator today, they found something they're passionate about and they're having success. So congratulations to them, for that. But I do think they need to ask some questions of themselves and about their business before kind of moving forward. And I think one of those is you got to be able to provide enough value to a potential franchisee to warrant them to become a franchisee. So things such as, unit economics, is the concept scalable? Do they have the ability to train others, et cetera? Do they have the capital to take this risk? Because it's going to cost a fair amount of money and time in order to scale. I believe the Fran Data has came out with data that said that more than 75% of franchisors never scale to 10 locations, and the ones that do take 10 years on average to get their 10th location opened. So it's not for the faint, for sure, but there's many great franchises out there, and so it has been done, and it's very possible. I also strongly suggest opening another location to improve your learns or to actually take your learns from number one, and to show improvements in your second location, and bonus points if you can open up in another market, because you don't really want somebody else to be your guinea pig, at least that's the way I think. For Slick City, we opened 2 locations in in 2 different markets, one in Denver, one in St. Louis, within 4 months of each other, one in a retail setting and one in an industrial flex setting. We really wanted to have a full year of operating experience. Therefore, we could have a complete item 19 within our FDD, which details financial performance representation. So once we had this experience and we had some cash to invest in our team, and the legal expenses, we definitely were ready to start franchising.
Yeah, that's good information right there, for sure, about that second location, proving it out. I love the idea that you mentioned of going into a different area, because you're going to have different challenges based on wherever those territories are and maybe even where the location is. So that's gold right there, guys. This is why we do this show. Thank you, Bron. Well, I know that Slick City is looking towards international expansion, and curious what operational or cultural differences that maybe you anticipate when you're moving outside of the U.S. and franchising into these global markets. Is there anything that's going on there?
Yeah, well, we do plan to enter into UK and some other European countries here in the next year through our multi-unit agreement with the largest FEC operator in Europe. We are in discussions with other multi-unit operators in Canada, Mexico, and even the Middle East. But I just need to say, international was not on our radar for 2025, but demand created an opportunity with a great operator. And so we have a long-term relationship with our franchise operator in Europe, in that he operated many trampoline parks. And so he put some of our slides in his trampoline parks for the past 5 years. So we know the market already loves our slides, so we're at least partially there. But we still anticipate many strategic differences going abroad. Some of those are very much related to the legal environment. So the franchise laws are different, business organization is different, the privacy laws are different, than all the culture and customer preferences, relating to food and how much disposable income they'll spend on entertainment and how to market to those customers. And we had to have some supply chain vendor flexibility in order to kind of keep this moving. But it's truly a fine balance between control and growth. And so we feel we need to have control on our branding, on the systems, on the attraction mix, and provide an operation manual that's very specific to the region. But we very much had to collaborate regularly with our franchisee to ensure our mutual success.
Yeah, and I think that's a really interesting how you're putting it. I mean, first, I know that there are so many differences when we go global with these businesses in the attraction space, but also, just the underlying idea that you, as a franchise or a franchisor, have to grow yourselves in order to be able to expand into these other regions, and really looking at what's best for the business as far as that goes. And you mentioned legal, and I know that Slick City uses a lot of its own proprietary technology and IP. Can you maybe share one example where tech clearly enhances the guest experience, and not just like for back end efficiency, but maybe if there's some example that touches the guest?
Yeah, well, the prime example of that is our utility patent. So we have a lot of design patents, but our utility patent really is on the dry slide technology, and that was developed by my partner Gary, who, after many years of R&D with tribology experts and all the stuff I mentioned before, was able to come up with coating on our slide surface, as well as a custom polymer blended material that was put on the mats to create this near frictionless surface, which allowed guests to be able to go down a slide and actually fly across an airbag, et cetera. And so that's and doing all that without the water, without the chemicals, without the downtime, without the long waits, in line, as we discussed earlier. And this directly amps up the guest's thrill factor. And again, we hear it regularly from our guests that we got to do that, or we got to do that again. Moments from the core customers, that 5 to 13 year olds. But again, a lot of the adults are saying that same thing, because who doesn't love adrenaline rushes, twisting drops, high bank curves, and then soaring through the air, as you come off one of our launch slides.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Well, I know team culture and leadership are a big part of your success. And I've seen interviews and you've been vocal about culture. What is one maybe low cost, high impact way to empower frontline staff and consistently still deliver that great guest experience?
Yeah, the most simple one, is you must take care of your team, and that's both your front line, that's your managers that work for you, and your guest engagement will never exceed your team member engagement, so how do we do that? Is we provide a fun, engaging environment to work in. But our best team leaders, their team members become family to them. And we've been told many, many times that Slick City is my second home to a lot of our young staff. And then once we have that type of a culture, it's also a we culture, in that it's the manager walking around the park and picking up the piece of trash instead of asking somebody else to do it. It's lots of systems in place that encourages responsible behavior, but also we provide ample opportunity for additional training and growth.
Well, I actually had a conversation around IAPA with a colleague who's in the family entertainment space. I don't know if you know this about me. I actually started in family entertainment at QZAR. I don't know if you remember the old QZARs in the 90s. I was a GM for QZAR in Santa Clarita, California. And so I very much understand the family entertainment business and what we're doing for families that are in our local communities, because most of the people who attended our facilities, and I'm sure the people that I know that are going to Slick City here in Denver, are local, right? They're part of our local communities. But the thing that I really love about what you said is that these people you're working with, your teams, are family. And I think it's interesting because I had this conversation during IAPA where someone said to me, like, there are no good people to work in these family entertainment centers. But then I talked to somebody like you who is clearly showing people that there is a place for them in the future of these organizations. And I read a little bit about your slick, uh, is that what it's called, the slick?
Yeah, those are our core values. Yeah, so we like acronyms, and so the SLIC stands for stand tall together, and it goes off of our tall towers and those type of things, but it's also build a community within our four walls. And then it's love our community, which we're very much into giving back to the community. And then the I is innovate always, and so whether that's attractions, whether that's new programs or promotions and those type of things. And then again, what I mentioned before about culture, the C is commit to fun. We have to provide a good environment for both our team members and our guests. And then the K stands for keep our guests number one, which is the reason why we're in business, right? If we can't do that, then we failed miserably.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. It's very inspiring to hear about your culture. And I know there are good people out there that want to work for companies like yours who have these great values and are helping people see that they belong and they're part of part of the family, but also like I said, can see themselves in the future of this business, this growing business, which is pretty amazing what you guys are doing. Now, I know you've talked a lot. I've talked a lot on podcasts. I listened to a few of them about franchising, and I just wonder for our listeners, as we wrap up this conversation today, from those lessons and conversations that you've had, what's one thing that you hope somebody listening today could maybe take from this conversation or any of the conversations that you're having about? I mean, so many things. Inspiration. I mean, it could be
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, well, after working in a corporate environment for many, many years, and I started a few businesses before getting into franchising, and now in the franchise world, I've been a franchisee and a franchisor. And I can tell you one thing: I wish I started my franchise journey sooner. I think Ray Kroc from McDonald's said it best: franchising is being in business for yourself, but not by yourself. So many opportunities in my life came as a result of being a franchisee of a great system. And I don't think my story is unique. I talked to many franchisees of other systems. And some of these people, literally came from nothing and now own hundreds of restaurants in different concepts. So I think, the franchising is still a secret. And I wish more people understood it and more people got involved in it. I have a bachelor's and a master's, and we didn't spend much time talking about franchising. So I do think it's still an opportunity for many. My other piece of advice is to find your side hustle. So for me, my side hustles ended up being a stepping stone to something even better. Sometimes it allowed me to learn a new skill. So early on in life, I had my corporate job, but my wife and I decided to build a house, on our own and functioning as a general contractor. And we ended up doing that a few times. And then we started doing real estate investment. And then lo and behold, later, here I am building family entertainment centers and all that type of stuff. So that experience early on for sure helped me. And then I think my other side hustle was, getting involved with Slick Slide while I still was a franchisee of another system. And that became what Slick City is today. So, again, I really believe in hard work, and creating that side hustle with something that you're passionate about, and you just never know when that's going to turn into something even bigger.
Yeah, that's very inspirational because I can tell you, like, there's so many people out there that are not that, somebody said to me one time, actually, one of my gate master owners of a theme park, he said, and I might get this backwards because I forewarning, I'm a dyslexic, but we'll work it out. He said, we should be working to live, or not living to work, but working to live, or something along those lines.
Exactly.
And the way that I
Yes.
interpreted that was that, I mean, I don't know about you, but I sense that your work is a huge part of who you are and what you're and what you're about and what you're bringing to the world, and your passion, your influence, the innovation, everything, like you said, your side hustle. For many people, including myself, our side hustle is, the thing that we're most passionate about, right? And
Exactly.
so I love that advice of looking at that as maybe the catalyst to the next place that you're going to go. And maybe that's the catalyst to get you to create something even bigger than what you're doing right now. And and so I appreciate you sharing that. And I really appreciated that insight. And Bron, this has been just such a powerful conversation. And you've shown that innovation doesn't just come from flashy tech, but it comes from families, culture, and scaling and with intentionality, right? And even scaling with intentionality as fast as you've done it is very inspiring to me. And so, if there is somebody listening today that would like to connect with you, maybe about your business, maybe even to become one of your franchisees, what is the best way they can get a hold of you?
Yeah, the best way is on LinkedIn. And it's just my first name, Bron, Bron, and my last name, Launsby, Launsby. I believe I am the only one. So pretty easy to find. But I'm so appreciative of your time, so appreciative of many mentors in my past who, if anybody's got any questions, and I can help them with anything, whether it has to do with my franchise system or other topics, I would love to help.
Well, I really appreciate you being here today. And I don't know if you know this, or if the audience knows this, you are the last show for us for 2025. And I just can't even think of a better way to finish a year. And I feel for many, including at least for me and many people I've talked to, this has been one of those years of inspiration for so many of us. So to have you here today, to kind of wrap up this end of the year and your inspiring story, it's really a cool story that I'm so glad that I get to meet you and talk to you and learn from you today as we head into 2026, where I know you're just going to get even bigger and better than from the trajectory that you're based on the trajectory that you're on. But I know that our audience today, including myself, is inspired by this conversation and what's possible. And thank you for showing us what's possible and for all that you do for our industry.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. I'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Bron. Well, I really love conversations like this. Like I said, this is our last show of 2025. We're heading into 2026. And I hope conversations like this that we're having on this show and the programming that we put together for you just continues to inspire your vision and your mission and where you're going in this great industry of ours, where we get to be a part of culture, families, innovation, and creating memorable and great guest experiences. Before I let you go, a huge thank you again to our sponsor, Gatemaster Technology, for making this episode possible today. And don't forget that we are hosting the GT Summit here in Denver, Colorado, where we want to have more conversations like this and move theory to execution. And if you are thinking about joining us, you can find information on the GT Summit at gatemaster.info/GT Summit 26. Please come and be part of those conversations. And once again, as always, I want to thank all of you who are here live, those listening on the podcast channels. If you happen to be catching this on replay, #replay, so Bron and I know you are here listening and supporting this conversation. And until next time, I hope you continue to think boldly, scale wisely, and never lose sight of the guest experience. And I will see you in 2026 on the next Live with Sondra. Bye, everybody. Happy New Year and happy holidays.